Jayce, JB, or JB not.
Hello, I've moved house again. If you're a returning subscriber, you'll be like, where is she this time? Because all I ever do is move house. Great, who cares? Who gives a shit? You're here to talk about Arcane. Was Jayce right? Was Jayce wrong? Everyone was so busy arguing over his morals that they forgot the real question. Is Jayce gay for Viktor? And you know what the answer is? The answer is possibly, because it's never out of the question in Arcane. Like, it's not totally inconceivable. It could be true.
Girls kiss other girls, and no one bats an eye. But when I kiss my homies goodnight, society calls me gay.
That's why I've gathered you all here today, because that is one of the rules that Arcane breaks. Gender preferences seem as inconsequential as your favorite color, or whether you had a Jayce was right or a Jayce was wrong profile picture. It's just totally inconsequential. So what is it about Arcane that has got that certain je ne sais quoi? What is it about it that is, how you say, so tasty? Except for Maddie, because all my homies hate Maddie. Class, today's lesson is on storytelling rules that people get stuck in. Queerness, categories, and sincerity, and how Arcane breaks all these rules and why that makes it so good. Seriously, I've basically written 2,500 words of why Arcane is so good, and I'm not going to apologize for that. Hello, I'm Connie Glynn, and I've had every sexuality under the sun. I think my Wikipedia, which I try not to check, currently says that I am a lesbian, because I came out as a lesbian like 4 years ago, and it was true at the time. I was only dating girls, was not attracted to men.
I just can't help myself, I'm acting like an animal. Now here's my skin tone. I wanna get you home and double up.
But now I live with my boyfriend in this new flat in London. So clearly that's not true anymore. Very, very old veteran fans will remember that I used to be firmly in the aromantic camp. Crazy how times change. Why is this important, you ask? Because the first rule we're looking at that Arcane breaks is about the representation of sexuality. I think my little anecdote proves that sexuality can be kind of confusing.
I've been confused about a lot lately.
So it turns out things that confuse people can make them mad, or worse, disinterested, which is what the studios are worried about. And they're all like, oh my god, if we put a single gay person in this thing, no one's going to watch it or buy it. If you hadn't noticed, Arcane is actually full of gay characters. Sexually charged gay characters, but I mean, what did anyone actually expect? It's from a French animation studio. And somehow, guys, the world did not implode. In fact, let me check my notes here, guys. Arcane is the only show in IMDb history to have an entire season where every episode is rated 9+ out of 10, because people love it. Arcane is also based off League of Legends, a game I used to play very, very badly. For a franchise that is also responsible for KDA and the magical glittery Star Guardians and Seraphine.
We hope you love it, Kucha.
The game itself is not such a magical and friendly environment.
A-part tip redact. What? A-part tip redact. Scavern. Raverdent Scavern.
I think even the hardest chorus League fan would agree with that statement. And I respect that. Like, I'm not gonna show up to Fight Club and be like, hey guys, could you like keep the fighting down a little bit? So I just personally love the decision that someone made at some point to be like, hey guys, you know what franchise we should make gay as fuck? League. And good job they did, because everybody loves it, yippee. Except for Maddie. I mean, realistically, if you know anything about the biblical levels of League of Legends lore, you knew that Arcane was probably going to turn out like this, because they are dedicated to the craft of storytelling.
This is the League of Legends lore timeline explained in 1 minute.
Anyway, to understand this rule that has been broken in sexuality representation that Arcane has done so wonderfully, we're going to have to look at the rulebook. We will be starting with the standard categories of queer representation in modern media, because, you know, we are long past the days of evil lesbians from the 1940s, except for Maddie. At category 0, we obviously have no queer representation. There is not a single gay person. Gay people simply do not exist. This is like the censored version of Arcane that shows in certain countries that some of you may have seen on TikTok, where I believe people still think there's like a will they won't they going on between Vi and Jayce, of all people. Then at number 1, we've got the bare minimum. This is when a piece of media maybe has one token gay character. That character isn't necessarily explored, and you probably never see them actually being gay. At best, you get Damien from Mean Girls, and at its worst, think like all of those Disney movies recently where they had like one random gay character, and it would be like LeFou for some reason, or police officer number 2 for some reason. At its worst, it really fails because people in the queer community are like, this is really pathetic and stupid, what is this? And people who are, you know, like, what's that phrase I was using earlier? Get mad at the concept of gay people. They don't like it because they think it's like woke pandering media and it's really bad. And it's like, yeah, it is really bad, but I think you guys are picking up on the wrong reasons why it's bad. Anyway, I'm not getting into that discussion right now. But the point is, nobody's happy, nobody wins. Category number 2, we have realistic representation for straight media. This category is for media that includes queer characters in more meaningful ways, and maybe we'll explore a plot line or 2 around them. Examples include Friends with Carol and Susan, or Buffy with Willow and Tara. Number 3 category is queer-focused media. Enter Heartstopper. This third category is media generally aimed at LGBTQ plus people. In this media, the main characters will be LGBTQ plus, and it will explore the issues and relationships of LGBTQ plus people. Other examples include Q-Force, The L Word, and my arch nemesis film, Love, Simon. But guys, there's actually a secret 5th category. This is the category that Arcane falls into, and it does not prescribe to those pesky human world rules. This is incidental queer rap, or as I call it, the perfect world. Do you guys remember The Sims 2? This is not a tangent, I promise this has relevance and meaning. Do you remember how you could romance anyone of any gender and it didn't matter what gender your sim was? There was never like a big song and dance about it, it wasn't in any of the adverts, it wasn't like stated, and doing so wouldn't put any labels on your sim, like you wouldn't have like a gay or a lesbian or a bi label. The labels were not there, it was just like a part of this universe. The Sims was just doing that since 2004, on the sly. Cut to Baldur's Gate 3, which I am currently playing. I want to be like, oh, the reason it took me over a month to get a video out is because I've been moving house, guys, but that's not actually true. It's because I've been playing Baldur's Gate all day, every single day, my entire life. Anyway, it's a similar situation. You can romance any character, and it's not going to put a label on your character. It's just totally incidental. You can do what you want.
I can finally leave. Martha, I'm coming home, sweetie. I'm back in the fucking building again! Oh!
It simply is what it is. This is the perfect world. In the perfect world, queer identities don't exist because they're irrelevant. Like, you can't have queer identities if being gay is totally normal in that universe. Are you following what I'm saying here? Usually this media exists in universes that are different to ours, and it will even be part of the world building, and probably should be part of the world building, I'm just gonna say. Like, why in your alternate universe, sci-fi or fantasy, do you have the same sexuality and gender issues as our universe, as if you have like the same history and religion? Like, just make it make sense to me. I do not understand it. This category is very popular in cartoons. You've got Steven Universe, She-Ra, Legend of Korra, and books like the Log Tomb series or Captive Prince. We've even started to see it with live action, like in Our Flag Means Death. The perfect world breaks these rules of queer representation because it actually doesn't do any queer representation. It kind of disregards all real-world LGBTQ+ issues. It won't use any terminology or coming out narratives. Queerness is presented as inevitable and just like a standard fact of life. This is also the category I write in, so I'm always very excited when I come across other media that writes in the perfect world. So I have a bit of insight into how this works and why people would choose to write in this way. So for example, in my new book series, The Cursed Melodies, which you can pre-order and it's out March 6th, thank you. It's set in an uncanny version of our reality, and there's lots of little things you'll pick up on. As the writer of the books, I have the entire history of this universe and I know why these things are slightly different. They don't necessarily need to be explained, it's just fun for people to pick up on stuff that's like, oh, that's a bit different, that thing's not quite the same, I wonder what in history is different that means that. One of the things that is different is that sexualities are totally incidental. Partly because it's my book and I can do whatever I want. By which I mean most of the characters are queer, but there's never any queer narratives. I mean, realistically, it's because I was more interested in writing fun magic systems and evil dragons than focusing on like coming out stories. Those stories are obviously equally as valuable and important, but I am just not interested in writing them. I'm gonna leave them to people who are interested in writing them, and I'm just going to write about princesses kissing and people punching dragons in the face. So as somebody who writes in this category, my understanding of it is that it's mostly used for escapist media. Sometimes you don't want to deal with real life issues. Sometimes you want to go to the perfect world where there can be magical wars and apocalyptic powers, but nobody's going to get shot for like kissing a girl. Oh, except for Maddie. Maddie can get shot. Breaking this rule means that you don't have to feel crazy when you imagine romantic depths to Jayce and Viktor's relationship. You can view it as romantic in nature because it's genuinely not out of the question. It would be totally normal in that universe and not a strange assumption at all. It would be perfectly natural. In fact, I encourage you all to think very deeply about their relationship and all of the little moments of nuance that they had together. And then you can cry about the ending even more. So that is the first rule that Arcane breaks, and now we will be going on to the second rule that Arcane breaks. And this is the rule of categories, of good and evil, right and wrong. Now I recently had the sheer good fortune and spare ain't it quiet to go see Fortiche talk at Playgrounds, and it was so good, guys, oh my god. It was also about the Frenchest talk I've ever been to, or that there has ever been ever in the universe. They spoke a lot about animating emotion and what did they call it? Animating passion, the passionate scenes. And if anyone in the audience so much as tittered, there would have been calls for guillotines, I'm pretty sure. Stupid English, they do not understand the importance of the passion. It was clear in this section that all of these passionate scenes were equal to them, not just to each other, but to every other big moment, like a fight or a confrontation. They clearly had a deep love for all of these characters. And the most important thing was their stories and making the audience understand them on a deep level. Arcane is a master of nuance. In just 18 episodes, guys, I need to stress that, they created this story full of these really complex characters where they can commit great acts of evil in one scene, and yet we can still deeply understand them and even root for them. Except for Maddie. People's brains are obsessed with categories. They like to put things in boxes. Like, this person is good, this person is evil, this person is straight, this person is gay. Viktor is a power bottom and Jayce is a service top. We just like to have these little categories that we put things in. But Arcane defies our concept of categories. It's like, hey, you know your categories that you love so much? Well, screw them. And it even forces the characters themselves to engage with this issue. Jinx killed Caitlyn's mother. Caitlyn tarnished her mother's legacy with the use of the Grey. These are bad, evil things, but these are not necessarily bad, evil characters. Silco and Ambessa are seen in very different lights, how circumstance and fear can drive someone's decisions. Vi, she messes up, she hit powder, she lives with that guilt.
I told you to stay away!
Out of context, it's a very horrible scene to watch. And they're able to explore all these character nuances without ever committing character assassination. And we must also mention Clagger, not just a silly, goofy guy, but also hot. Anyway, I know this seems really obvious because it's like, shouldn't all media for adults include complex characters and an audience that understands the complexities of human nature? You would think, huh? You'd think, wouldn't you? But it's amazing how media illiterate people are in this day and age. But the recipe here is, and I'm sorry to be cringe on main, it's love. The show is about love, unabashedly. It's about hoping for a better world. It has the audience engage with love constantly. Love for the characters, love for your city, romantic love, platonic love, family love for knowledge, love for humanity. We see this so beautifully with Jinx and Isha, how Isha brings out this very different side of her.
Be alone, baby. You're my baby. You're my baby.
And we also see it. Try not to cry while I say this bit of the video. Also with Jinx and Echo. Echo is much like the audience themselves, where he has to grapple with the nuances of Jinx versus Powder. But in a time when everyone is a stickler for right and wrong and categories, and when everything has to be cynical, this was actually an extremely brave move. And this is the final rule that we're going to discuss that Arcane broke. And that is true sincerity. The show has enough faith in its writing that we didn't need any of those cringy, like, I guess we really are a League of Legends lines, because it trusts its narrative and it trusts its audience. Something that is surprisingly rare in this day and age. We can watch Arcane and we can sit with these deeply emotional moments and not shy away from them. You can hold space with the lyrics of Isha's song and cry like a baby. You can overanalyze Jayce and Viktor's final moments and know that every single little detail was intentional, that the creators wanted you to engage with it on a level this deep. Arcane is a show that is constantly breaking barriers and breaking rules and doesn't seem to even really care or notice that it's doing so because the creators are too busy creating and pouring love into every single frame. I mean, really the last rule that was broken is that a company actually spent time and money on animation and working closely and respectfully with artists. Just saying. Arcane actually values animation as a medium of its own, unlike all of those goddamn live action remakes that are coming out. Yeah, okay, actually, let's stick that rule there right at the end. The biggest rule Arcane breaks is that it actually respects animation as a medium and values artists and animators. A crazy rule to break in this day and age. Anyway, I could probably go on and on about how amazing Arcane is if you hadn't noticed, but I'd probably end up a blubbering mess, so I'm going to stop myself here. The show is beautiful, I can't wait to see what they do next, and I'll never recover from the emotional damage. Okay, I love you all. And please pre-order my book. Seriously, look how beautiful it is. And I will see you all soon.